Yo, what's up everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to another deck interview. Today, I've got PleasantKenobi with me. For once, somebody with a camera, which is nice. Now I don't have to PNG tube myself. And we're gonna talk about his favorite deck. But first, PleasantKenobi. Who are you and what do you do?
I am Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet, and I make a lot of Magic the Gathering content, between 3 and 5 videos a week, not including short form, and I cover pretty much everything within the game. I cover a wide range of ways to play, from Commander and Brawl casual stuff right up to like competitive play. I've covered the bits of the Pro Tour before and competitive metagames and such. I also cover a lot of culturally, philosophically things as well. So that's things like cheating, attitudes within the game, news stories, what wizards are up to. Hell, I even touch on finance a little bit too, even with maybe a bit of snark. So I am an all-encompassing sort of like holistic Magic the Gathering content creator to an extent. I do a little bit of other tabletop stuff too. I've got a little Warhammer channel that I occasionally upload to as well, and things like that. So I am a magic man, I guess is the best way to put it, and I have been for quite some time now.
This immediately brings up something that I think is a bit interesting for our purposes here, right? Because everybody I've talked to before was specifically a Commander channel, but you're not. You are Magic, the whole package. And I think that's great because Magic is a really interesting whole package. But that brings up the question, how much Commander do you actually play?
So just by the weight of the format and what it bears down on the entire game, probably more Commander than any other format, like individually. I'd probably say it's maybe a 50-50 split. Maybe that's no, maybe 60-40 because a lot of the time I spend playing on Arena because I'm a full-time content creator and part of that is just playing Magic to feel how Magic is right now. So I think Arena probably just sways the scale towards everything else and then Commander. Like the scale is a bit high on this side, but that's kind of not far off. So Commander is the primary way that I have no physical decks built for any other format right now. I haven't had a modern deck built for about 8-9 months was the last time I played Paper Modern, I think. So yeah, that's a good indication of how I just don't get out to play paper games other than Commander. And there's also the elements of like how the competitive scene of Magic has been and how Wizards have supported it and how the community feels about it and such. But I'll go out and draft if I can. I'll go out and play pre-releases if I can, stuff like that. Although there was a sealed tournament recently, I was too tired to go, so I just didn't go. I bought a ticket, got to the day, it's like, I can't be arsed, didn't go. So maybe that's an indication of how I am about stuff. So quite a bit of Commander, but also maybe not as much as I like, because sometimes it gets to Friday night and I have to go to F&M. And my nearest F&M has got a weird opening time. They're in a shopping mall, so it's like 4 till 8 or 4.
That's awkward.
It is awkward. Yeah. So if I am feeling confident and happy about the week and I've done all my stuff and I've got videos made and I'm easy going, I'll be like, I'm off. I even go down a bit earlier than 4, make sure I get a table, start playing earlier. If I don't, then I don't go down. Then also, by the time I go down at 6, it's not a game there, right? Same. The next closest one to me is 6 till 9. It's like that's one game of Commander if I'm lucky, which is something to talk about in this video.
Wait, is that like the entire opening hour? Just those 3 hours?
No, that's the Commander night. So you can get down there earlier to the Salisbury store.
Tight.
Although I've never been to the Salisbury store because of how the timing is and where it is, and I've got other places that are closer. And then my local store in Andover, shout out to Collectibles, wonderful store, but they're absolutely hamstrung by the opening hours of the shopping centre. And I've even pushed them to talk to the local council and try and do like this is a good place for kids to hang out on a Friday night. Why can't we go open for 1 more hour or whatever? But our local council is, how do we put it politely? Dog shit. I guess it's probably a polite way of putting it. So there's a bit of that going on. But then there's like a Monday night pub scene that I sometimes go to. And then I'm actually playing Commander tomorrow at a friend's house. So it's really sporadic. But Commander is basically the primary way that I play in paper.
So you're just, but you're a bit of a traveler, right? You don't have one specific location you go to. You just go to
absolutely.
where makes sense in the moment.
Yeah, and it depends what's happening, where it is, what timings. Like I said, my nearest one that I can walk to, just the timing doesn't work if I want to finish work at a normal time. I've also got a daughter as well, so I like to do bedtime with her, so that doesn't work. So yeah, I am a traveler. For all sorts of reasons. Sometimes it'll be, for example, there'll be a board game that I'm trying to buy, and it's only available in a shop that's a 30-minute drive away, so I will organise to go play Magic on a day in the week there, so I can go buy said board game. Shout out to Gloomhaven, the game that I struggled to fucking get hold of recently, but I've got one now, kids. We're good to go.
I have a very minor related story to that, but I thought it was interesting because the company that makes Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, that's the same company, right?
Yes.
They're Feuerland. And the guy that owns it lives in the same town that I live in. So when the game store that like opened here recently opened, he showed up and brought in 10 giant unmarked boxes. And everybody was like, what is going on here? And it turns out he was donating 10 copies of Frosthaven to the store, but they are kind of like unsellable boxes because they are just replacement boxes. So it's the entire game, but as a replacement box. So now the game store has 10 boxes in the back and he doesn't know what to do with them.
Why can't he sell them? So the replacement, you mean this is the stuff the company would send out if the original product was faulty or whatever?
Yeah, if
so
a game was missing stuff, then they would take it out of these replacement boxes.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So
but it's a whole game, right?
It is the whole game. But like, it's not in a proper box. Like, it's just in this brown, unmarked box. So he can't really put it onto the shelf.
We're getting into a really weird weed here, but the game has so many components that actually need to be sorted properly. So not having the original box is kind of a bit clunky. Also, this is like 100, I think Frosthaven is like 200 something pounds.
Yeah.
So these are games that most game stores have one copy of Frosthaven they can't shift because once people have bought it, no one's buying a second copy of Frosthaven, and the people who want it really want it and have got it. It's one of those weird ones. So like when I was ringing around trying to find Gloomhaven second edition when it was coming out last Friday or the Friday before, people were like, I've got Frosthaven if you want it. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm really into the new one. They're like, well, we haven't got that one coming. It's just, yeah, board games, which is very Commander. It's very linked to Commander because Commander is basically the board game version of Magic, right?
Yeah, so. I actually agree with that. Like that's why I like Commander. Like Commander to me is basically a board game, but everybody brings their quarter of the game. And I think that's
which is something that I find that kind of, it's wonderful in Magic because we're all established and we've all got our cards, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Recently, I've been getting really into deck builder board games. So games that you open up and they've got like a marketplace part and you get your first starting deck and you bind and you change deck as you go. Clank, and I just got Star Trek Captain's Chair, Slay the Spire. I love this stuff, right? Absolutely fanatical. It's like playing Cube, which is my favorite format of Magic. Thing is, recently someone tried to pitch a locally made game called like Carnival of Gloom, I think it's called. And I was like, oh, is this a deck builder? I was like ready to buy. And he's like, no, it's a trading card game. So like you build your deck and then come to play like a board game scenario. And it like checked me out because it's like, I don't have the time to maintain another collection of stuff and get the singles or whatever. That's like one of the issues with card games where deck builders is like, buy this box, here we go.
Yeah.
So Magic is really interesting. I'm like, I'm willing to do that because I guess I was deep in it already, and the game's got a legacy, right?
I feel like
games are hard to sell like that.
I feel like Magic actually has another really big advantage that often gets neglected in these conversations, and it's really simple. The game just has 30,000 cards. Like, if I want to build like a deck in a new card game that's coming out, I mean, how many cards is it going to have?
Sure.
Like, it's going to launch with what? Like, let's be generous and say 1,000 different cards?
Because other card games do try. Flesh and Blood's got a pit fight mode, and Star Wars Unlimited's got Twin Suns.
Yeah.
Twin Suns got a really cool mechanic that... I'll mention it here, I guess. Their mechanic is that when one player dies, it starts like a death spiral where the game's going to end on the next turn rotation, and the person with the highest life total wins. So part of the game actually favours castling up and keeping your defences high, so that when one player is eliminated, you can be the person with the strongest empire at the end of the game. Yeah. And it stops this thing where one person gets eliminated and it's 2 hours of gameplay, which is obviously an issue with Commander, right?
I
was like, that is quite a good... Yeah.
That's a cool solution. Like, I do think that Commander as a whole has like a lot of game design problems that are just kind of like, hey, we cooked this up 20 years ago with our homies and never thought about it twice. And now we are dealing with it.
Because the idea of adding the Twin Suns final death clock thing to EDH Commander actually would bug me a lot because the game is not ready for that. It's not set up for that. No one's prepared for it now. It would change the game at such a fundamental level where casting up and life gain would become such a good thing. But I do like that it's baked into this other party mode in a different game from the beginning because it also gives it a different identity. I don't like seeing multiplayer 4-player games and other card games just trying to be Commander, especially when Commander isn't... I love Commander, and I've loved Commander since its inception, or at least when its inception. But it definitely does carry a weight, and it's not all positives, not all rainbows, what it does for Magic, right? So I see other card games like clambering to have that 4-player thing. I'm like, have your own fucking identity, bro. You don't need to... Yeah.
Yeah. I have one question, sorry, and this is just something that interests me personally, but you said earlier that like basically you try to be done with work at a certain time of the day. Do you have like a strict structure like that where you just like work between 5 and 7 or something like that? Okay, that's maybe a bit long.
Well, yeah, primarily not. It's my wife. My wife wants us to have some sort of normal work-life balance where we see each other and have dinner at a certain time and stuff like that. And that was always the case because I'm a full-time content creator and have been for like, I don't know, 6 years or something at this point. But so that's always been the case with my wife. And then when we had a kid, it became even more structured like that, right? Yeah. I'd drop into nursery in the morning, then we got pick up later in the day, and then we've got like sorting her out with her afternoon snack, and then bedtime and stuff. So that's the main reason. The structures just sort of come onto it there. It doesn't really work half the time because normally when I'm doing this sort of stuff, like you must know with Trinket Mage and similar, they're all like in the American time zones, right? And if you want to be on hijinks or anything like that, it's all American time zones. I've thought about getting people to guest on my channel for similar chats to this, and the majority of people American time zones. So yeah, I try. No, that's a very content-y thing more than the commandery thing, but
yeah, I know.
Maybe that's interesting.
Look, as a content creator, that's just something that interests me personally. But
are you a 9-to-5 man, or are you wherever it fits?
I try basically. Like I have less specific work hours and more specific hours where I don't work.
Sure.
And so basically, like in the evening from like 6 to 8, that's just time for me and my wife, like where we hang out.
Yeah, okay.
And like I have certain times where I just like go hang out with my friends or to a game store or something. I have hours where I don't work. And then the rest of the time, I'm usually trying to get something done, but not always super successful.
Yeah. And there's also the thing of hanging with friends too, right? You want to be able to actually like, most of my friends have 9-to-5s. So if I'm trying, and I this is the loneliness of the modern male, right? We're getting to that a bit, but like trying to get your friends, normally your male friends, just like I don't have any female friends that actually play Magic locally. I have loads of female friends that play Magic, but they're like in other countries. But like my local friend group, trying to get them to play magical board games, it's like, nah, dude, I work this set hours and I can't. So I have to do it within those hours to make it work sense, right? If I'm like Thursday midday and they're like, no, I can make that work because I can shuffle my hours around, but they can't.
Well, that's actually, I view that as a little bit of an advantage of my work, right? It's like when we are arranging like, hey, let's do a commander night or something like that, I can always be the one to say, you guys just figure it out. I'll show up.
Yeah. Sorry, to go back to what I said a second ago, because I don't think I've explained that very clearly. When I said the loneliness of the modern male, the reason I say that is because all my male friends are shit at organising things, right? So like yeah, if I was organising, but that ties in, right? Like when we organise things that are non-board game, non-Magic related with like female friends that are like part of groups and stuff, the women get things really well organised, and the guys maybe do what you do, which is default back to someone else to figure it out. Well, I'm not saying it's completely a gender thing, but in my experience, a lot of my male friends are fucking lazy. Okay, there you go. Shout out to my local homeboys. They're all fucking lazy. And I'm the one who's like, I've bought the board game, learned the board game. Come on, guys. Just fucking show up and get off your phones. But yeah.
All right. I'm going to have to defend myself a little bit. I kind of positioned myself poorly because I wanted to abbreviate it. But basically, my usual position is more like, you guys tell me what time you can do, and then I'll find the spot, right? And I'll just adjust myself into it.
But do your friends respond to that? Because if I said that,
because
one of them will say one time, one will say one time, one will say another, and the other two won't respond. And then we've got 2 different times and 3 people, and it does.
Sorry, if you don't respond, I'm looking for somebody else.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes.
1 or 2 of them might see this, and they know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. You lazy bastards. Anyway.
Okay. We are like 10 minutes into this. We have not even mentioned your commander.
We're doing a specific. We're
talking about your deck here.
Everyone's favorite assassin from Assassin's Creed, Arbaz Mir, right?
Yes, that's your favorite assassin. Are you like an Assassin's Creed enjoyer? No. You just like the card?
I'm old enough that I bought the first one collector's edition with like a statue of Altair, because I used to work in game shops and shit, and like it was a fascinating time because Ubisoft have released a completely new intellectual property in the time when everything was a sequel, right? So I remember Assassin's Creed being that. Fast forward, Assassin's Creed's one of those IPs that they can't stop releasing. But no, so I loved the first one. The second one I thought was quite good, but just had some of the same issues as the first one. And then I just dropped off hard and didn't give a shit. Because it's just the same thing over and over, right?
I assume you have no idea who Arbaz Mir is?
Well, because I'm a super online nerd, I tend to look into these things. I can tell you he's one of the protagonists of the side-scrolling 2D or 2.5D Chronicles, I think they're called. There's 3 of them. There's one in India, which is Arbaz Mir. There's one in China, which is Juan T, who's the gear up at Aether Grid on a body in this set. She's really cool as well. The 2 coolest commanders. And then the third one didn't get a card. He's the only mainline Assassin's Creed character with no card because he was Russian. And I don't know if this is the reason, but Magic stopped printing in Russia. Russia invaded the Ukraine, and then suddenly we had an Assassin's Creed set where the only main character that didn't get a card was the Russian dude. Interesting. So I don't blame them necessarily, but it's just a fictional character who's a Russian. Weird choice, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately it was a small set, so maybe they just like, if you have 100 slots and you have the 101st character.
Absolutely, I see your logic, but if they made, what was it, fucking 72 guys in hoods, why do they stop at 72 and not do 73?
That's true.
I mean, I could be wrong. Someone super Assassin's Creed fan can tell me, actually, this spin-off Assassin's 3.5 character didn't get one. But did you expect me to know that much? Did you expect me to know that much about the character or not?
I did not. Honestly, I'm very impressed. But I'm going to ask more. So Albus Mir is just from the side-scroller. There's no like proper 3D
No. Well, I'm going on like wiki reading and like vaguely remembering the game coming out. Like it's on the dashboard of the marketplace. I'm like, well, I'm never buying that. I played the first Chronicles. I played the China one. Was that the first one? Oh fuck! I might have even played the India one. It was so unmemorable that. Oh, interesting. I almost installed it the other day. So it's free on Game Pass. So you know Game Pass. Here you go. Shout out to. Unless you're boycotting Microsoft for all their dodgy fucking politics, which is completely reasonable. But anyway, they have Game Pass, and Game Pass is linked to Ubisoft as well, so you get like Uplay stuff as well, and all the Assassin's Creeds are on there. So when it came up on my dashboard on my Xbox, and I turned it on the other day, like new additions, I checked, and all the Assassin's Creed titles had showed up. And Arbaz Mir's game was there. I was like, will I play this? Should I? So I hovered the install button and thought, I'm not going to play this. I don't give a fuck. I literally, because sometimes like, I don't know if you
for the
this.
Nintendo DS?
I think it was on.
No, that's something else. Sorry.
It was on the PSP. Assassin's Creed Chronicles India.
No,
Was that what it was called?
I found Assassin's Creed Chronicles, but turns out there's like a shit ton of these games. There's
Chronicles
Chronicles
are
Chronicles
all
China,
the side scrollers. They're all
Chronicles
side scrollers.
India.
Originally, there was 3 in a series that was planned. Like China or India came out first, so I played it on release. We're talking like 2009 or some shit, right? The India one came out in 2016. Anyway, there was 3, and then Chronicles is now their side-scrolling line, so I guess they might have done throwbacks to other characters. But anyway, India is the one with Arbaz Mir. And I've not played it, or if I have played it, I've forgotten that I've played it.
Well, I just saw that the Russian one has a gun, so maybe that's why he didn't make it.
There's flintlock rifles and stuff on the art of some of the other cards. Set. I might be making that up. I'm going to look now. I'm actually misremembering dates as well. It's 2015.
All right. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Let's talk about the Magic the Gathering card.
Sure.
All right. So
I'm sure the people tuning into this want us to talk about old side-scrolling games that no one's fucking playing, right?
Yeah, like, I am happy to have discussion, but look, I'm going to be completely honest. I actually don't really care that much about this very specific
neither do I, but I just
thing.
think it's interesting, though, that it's a game that I have never fucking touched. Here's what I was going to ask you, though. Sometimes when I play a character in a game, like a card game or war game, and I may not even like them, so I didn't like how the Sanguinary Guard looked when I came back to Warhammer in Warhammer, but then because I enjoy the models and the units so much, I was like, fuck, this is pretty cool, and now I'm enamored by them, and I've read some of their literature and similar. And that happens with some of the Star Trek stuff recently as well, with the Star Trek board game I've been playing. This almost got me to care about Arbaz Mir because I like the card so much. There is a thing where like a mechanical card can make me care a little bit. Doctor Who, the mechanics of all the cards in the set were so cool and interesting that I became a Doctor Who fan and watched like most of the new seasons, right? Like games can sometimes get me to watch a fiction. I don't know if you have a similar thing with that or whether you just really don't give a shit.
No, I mean, like, so what I like to do with my Magic decks specifically is like, if I am interested in a commander or building a commander, I do research like kind of their background. So for all of my commander decks, I at least know a good amount about the commander because I just think that's like, to me, that enhances the experience.
Yes.
But like with the Universes Beyond stuff, to be honest, like my experience with that has mostly just been like if I like something already, then like I might dig into it a little bit more. But like it's not managed to really get me interested in something. No, wait. I did buy Final Fantasy X. And I played it.
Which commander got you to play it?
I just liked I saw the Final Fantasy set. I saw all of the cards. I thought it was really well put together. I'm like, okay, I gotta play one of these Final Fantasy games. So I looked at just kind of like around which one seems to be like the most well received, which one seems to be the one that's like kind of a classic and so on. So I found
And you went to 10?
I liked the cards. I thought they were interesting.
Sure.
I played it for 2 hours and then I saw Expedition 33 and I haven't touched it since then.
Yeah, which is like the spiritual well, so like you said about like learning about your commanders and stuff. That's one of the strengths of Commander, right? Is that it gives you a main, it gives you a character to associate with, it gives you a character to like personally attach to. And that can sometimes make you care a bit more about Magic canon and Magic lore, or it can make you care randomly about BBC science fiction.
I mean,
it can work both ways.
I do wonder, like, this is something I've been like asking myself for a long time. It's like I tried Magic in the past, right? Like I actually played like Standard back when Oko and Uro and all of those cards were around.
Wow,
And
what a fun time that was.
oh, it was great. I was playing Standard. I used all of my wild cards on Arena to craft all the decks, and then they all got banned, and none of my decks were functional anymore.
But they gave you back the wild cards for the cards specifically banned, right?
Oh,
None of the
right,
stuff
yeah.
around them. None of the other cards in the deck.
The fact that the rest of my deck was completely unplayable now, that's not a problem at all. But yeah, like I played it back then, and honestly, I didn't quit as those cards were banned. I just completely abandoned the game. And the game itself just didn't really keep my interest past that point because I wasn't so passionate about it. But then with Commander, something that like really worked for me, and I wonder if that's because of my decades of experience playing Dota, I like having a guy. You know? I like having my Kiora deck is a Kiora deck. I like
people
helps
like to
me.
main stuff. People like to main stuff. People like to. It's like almost. This sounds really harsh. I don't mean it this way. It's a stand-in for a personality sometimes, or at least you can make it your whole personality for a little while. And that's fine. And
Yeah,
like it used to be like that. I'd be like, oh, I only play Demir or I play Control or whatever. But now it's similar to Smash Bros, Dota, League of Legends, Tekken, Street Fighter. Like all the fighting games and the MOBAs have already done this before, where you get to like pick characters and really associate with them and go into them. And Magic gets that. And a lot of card games now are learning that's a good thing. So Flesh and Blood and Star Wars Unlimited are good examples of games where they're like, actually, the entire game is based around playing a main character. One Piece as well. You pick a character that is in your like not command zone.
The prototype for that is Hearthstone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you pick a class.
You pick a class,
It's slightly different because the classes are like nondescript in terms of named character.
Yeah, you also
can't
don't have that
backstory
many,
for them.
right? Like there's what 11 now or something like that.
There was 6 or 8 originally, but no, it is similar. You are right because you're still playing a class, which is like an RPG thing, really, isn't it? You pick into a class and stuff. Where Magic's more freeform. But I guess you take the freeformness of Magic with all these cards and you add this like slightly spec element where you spec into something and it creates identities and subcultures and connection points and stuff.
I mean, I touched on that earlier, right? But I think that's the big strength that like Magic has, the big advantage it has, and the big advantage that Commander has. It's just like there's 30,000 cards. Like, yeah, there's like 3,000 different commanders to choose from. So just like pick one. And then pick a bunch of other cards, and they can be terrible or not. But like you have that range of stuff. Like a problem that Hearthstone always had is that like, yeah, it has 9 classes, but like each class is only getting like 10 cards a set, because a set just like needs to be so specific, and they can't include 300 cards in each set, or at least they didn't. Right, and when I was playing,
I think they got more. I thought I could be completely wrong. I haven't played Hearthstone in a very long time, but I think they got more than 10. I think they got a good chunk per class. But I might be.
Yeah, it's been a while. I gotta be honest, but like it definitely wasn't as like whole. You know, like they were just. It was a small subsection, and the thing is, like, if I was a Druid player and I only played Druid, then there was a good chunk of the set that was like completely irrelevant to me. Like apart from playing against it, but I couldn't ever use it. While in Commander, while in Magic, I have that range. Like I can still, even if I am usually a blue player, you know, I might be able to build a deck that has, 3 colors, blue included, and now I can try out those new cards that were released as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably testament to like Magic's really one of the Magic strengths that's allowed it to persevere and be so successful for so long is that like it's so highly customizable.
Yes.
Hell, we're talking about sub formats within sub formats, or sub classes or niches within sub formats of a wider game, and every format can be different and have different rules and stuff. That's one of the wonderful things about Magic compared to a lot of other card games, because, like you said, the breadth of cards that already exist and such.
It's all about that modularity. Like I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine who was like, why would I spend $60 on a Magic deck? And like, that's pretty cheap. When I could buy a whole ass board game for that and play it. But in my mind,
I'm currently going through that right now. Every time I buy a board game, I'm like, Jesus Christ! I just sold a Fierce Guardianship, and that bought me an entire Star Trek deck builder.
So
I'll give or take like £10, but still, like absolute insanity. The price of Magic cards is actually bonkers.
Yeah, okay, look, if we're talking about the really expensive cards, I absolutely agree. I don't think you need a Fierce Guardianship. I owned one time and I sold it, and that's all I did with it. But the thing is that to me the big difference is like if I'm buying a board game, right? Like if I'm buying any game. For example, recently I bought. Well, actually, anyways, the most recent board game I got was Dorfromantik, and I like Dorfromantik. It's fun, but now we kind of finished it. We don't really play it anymore, and now I can't use Dorfromantik for anything anymore. It's just in a box.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But
that's a very reasonable. Not criticism. It's one of the cons to the cheaper buy-in is that it doesn't modularly slot into a wider game where it's going to be forever useful. Although you could argue a lot of Magic cards aren't forever useful either.
Yeah, I mean, but there's also a good chunk, right? Like, and it's really something where, like, I've noticed where over time as my collection has built, I'm just like, oh, all of these weird cards that initially were just for one deck, all of a sudden they're usable in 2, 3, 4 decks. Maybe that's also just because, like, I've gotten better at the game and my perspective has got like kind of widened a little bit. But I do think there is a real strength to Magic's modularity. And I feel like that does actually warrant a bit of an increase in cost. Not Fierce Guardianship level costs, of course. But I do feel like that's something that maybe shouldn't be completely neglected.
Well, no, not at all. And also, it's kind of the reason for it, right? The reason cards have costs is because they're desirable in some capacity, whether it be collectible or playable. And everything being playable in different ways, in different formats, and different ways of playing is what keeps people wanting those cards and thus builds a secondary market. And also, as a point, if anyone who's never really heard me talk before about this sort of stuff, like Fierce Guardianship costing £40 is both a good thing and a bad thing. Primarily a bad thing because I think accessibility is really important. But the fact that I managed to sell like 3 cards and buy 2 board games recently, that's a positive for me in the sense that my collection in Magic is transferable into some sort of other thing eventually, right? That's the whole point of collectability. So this isn't holistically a bad thing. It's got good sides and bad sides depending on how you look at it and where you're at. If you've got no disposable income and you want to play CDH and there's no proxy event near you, then you'll get shafted by the system. But if you're long-term buying packs and stuff,
is it CDH if it's not proxies?
I think it's really bad if you don't allow proxies. Absolutely. Yeah. Like it doesn't really function.
I run budget commander tournaments, like 50-euro decks, and I allow proxies. Like, fuck it. Like, just go nuts.
Budget tournaments?
Yeah.
Oof, I don't know.
They're really fun.
I've got a really adverse reaction to anything tournament unless like everyone's on the same wavelength. Because I think when you do tournament commander, people come in and they get smashed, and then it gives them like a bad perception of like what tournament play or competitive play should be.
I agree.
So I think it's a very difficult thing to like maneuver
But that's why budget is good. Because like I tell, like at a budget tournament, right? Like I tell people, your deck has to cost $50 or less. That's just the cap. So everybody knows their range. Like it's very similar to like kind of how you would consider Warhammer. Right, in Warhammer, you have your points that you're spending on units in your army. In Budget Commander, you have your points, like as in your real money, I suppose, that you're spending on your deck. And
absolutely, but that problem still happens in Warhammer, where like the competitive side of Warhammer has a bad rep, and casual players are very upset and angry about it a lot of the times. A lot of like disputes and arguments there. And Commander is where we see that the most in Magic, where there's such a dissonant attitude towards competitive play and casual play. And tournaments obviously should veer to the competitive side, but how many casual players do you know that have like entered a EDH tournament and then got absolutely smashed and then been a bit frustrated by it? Like that's also a thing that happens.
So like I've run like I wanna be clear here. I haven't been doing this for like a short time. I've run 10 different tournaments here, right? And I schedule these regularly. I've been doing it for like a year and a half, and I have not really had that issue. And that's just because I'm very clear about it. It's a tournament, right? Like I don't say, hey, this is a tournament where you show up with your casual decks. Like people have tried, but then I tell them ahead of time. Oftentimes, like what I require for people to do is they submit their deck list ahead of time so I can check that it fits within the budget range. And if they submit something that's super casual, I will tell them, hey, you're probably going to have a really hard time with this. And
that's good. That's good. That talks to like the community you've got and the people that are getting involved and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's completely bad.
I get what you're saying. Like basically what you're like kind of expanding on is this core idea of power level mismatches in Commander, right? Like and they're saying like, oh, what if these competitive players go up against the casual players? But like personally, like I find actually like specifically having the framework of a tournament, I gotta be completely honest, right? Like if you are a competitive player and you go to a casual table and you stomp them, then you are the problem. You are at fault. But that also means that it goes the other way around. If you bring a casual deck to an explicit tournament and then you get destroyed, it's kind of your own bad. Like, I feel like...
It is. I think that misalignment of even perception of where people are at and what their decks are like and how they play is nowhere more present and apparent than it is in Commander.
Yes.
Because not so long back, a friend of mine and I went to a new store a bit further out, and we sat down with a guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got everything up to a 9. Let's play level 9." It's before the bracket system came out, so a year or two ago now. And then we started playing, and it became very apparent very quickly as he played like his Windscarred Crag or whatever, that like his deck was not the 9 that he was braggadocio, like, yeah, I can do it, play whatever you've got. And I'm like, oh god. And then it just became a nightmare of a game where the guy was like salty, like, I played an expensive land, he's like, oh, you're playing those, are you? I'm like, I didn't know that was where we were at, my god. And that's not the fault of the tournament or the players that want to play in a tournament, but unfortunately that shit happens in Commander and it doesn't happen in other formats, right? That's why I'm always like, do we need to push this to be like a tournament thing? I'm not against CDH either. I think CDH is probably almost like the purest form of everyone sitting down and knowing what they're getting up to. But like budget tournament also, like I think that you'd know better than I would in your circumstance, but it attracts people who are going to be like, my deck's budget, it only cost me $20 to make, and they sit down and get steamrolled by someone who's playing like a turn 4 combo. But
I mean, like that, I would just say that's their own problem. The people that I found to be most frustrated are not the people that show up with decks that like felt like, oh, I was completely underprepared for this. Those players are often the ones that just say, okay, well, I guess I was completely underprepared for it. Rather, the people that get maybe a little frustrated are people that show up with something that they really prepared for. You know, like they were like, oh
sure.
no, I put a lot of work into this and then it didn't work. But that's just, it's competitive scene.
The sweaty spikes that don't get there. Like,
but I feel like
bad beat stories and such.
If I'm completely honest, like, so I'm somebody that has played lots of different games, right? And I've been like an active part of different scenes as well, like not just Magic. Like I'm actually pretty new to Magic. And I don't think Commander is as unique in its kind of saltiness over being outperformed as a lot of Magic players seem to think it is.
I think what you're saying is like, I think you might be, I've not explained it very well, or you're taking slightly different from what I'm saying. So you're saying saltiness over outperforming. Yeah, that exists in going to an event, thinking you're going to do well and doing bad in a competitive event. Those people, your mates always go in the carbide home. And
something like this. Like,
absolutely.
Have you played like matchmaking in League of Legends or Dota?
Of course I have.
Yeah, right. And then somebody starts complaining about the Smurf on the other team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but like, have you considered that maybe that's just a guy having a good game, not a Smurf?
Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're saying. I don't think that's not the kind of thing I'm expecting in Commander. So that is the kind of thing you're expecting in a competitive environment. Is that people make excuses for why they lost. Like the other player was smurfing, the other player was cheating. That's a really common thing you hear when people are playing ladder on arena. They think the client is cheating them when in reality they fucked up, or the deck wasn't good enough, or they made the wrong decisions, or the mulligans are bad. Yeah, like no one wants to take no one wants to focus on their own actions. I've done videos on that before as well. I think Commander's situation is more unique and different because the players coming in aren't even thinking in that way. It's almost like a completely different mindset. And people will come in, I see it at my stores, and they will like be upset that someone's deck had some expensive cards in it, which is not a thing you see in competitive play, right? Like the attitudes are so uniquely different that I agree. The stuff you see on ladder in League, that toxic element, absolutely exists in competitive parts of Magic. Like the competitive scene's very toxic. All the pigs and slop shit was by toxic players in the competitive scene recently, right? But I think the problems in Commander are almost unique because people are coming in to play Monopoly. And then you get one guy who's lied that he's not playing Monopoly. He's playing what would be a more competitive board game with his deck, Imperium or something. like
completely different level.
Yeah, you get comms issues at the beginning, right? It's like I don't know, going to a League lobby and one person's like, "Hey guys, I'm playing Ultimate Bravery," and the other four are like, "Please don't." That's probably more akin to what happens in Commander, where people will just miscommunicate or not communicate at all. How many tables have you sat down to where people don't want to have a bracket convo?
But have you never been accused of being a tryhard in League?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm just my whole argument here.
That's probably the closest. That's probably the closest to the Commander disparity. Absolutely. Someone calls someone else a tryhard because they've put the effort in, and that's perceived to be bad by the people who want to pretend that they haven't put the effort in. Absolutely. But I also think I don't know, like the rank. If you're going on ladder, if you're laddering on League or Dota, that's almost already different to Magic and Commander, right?
But there's also unranked matches.
Yes, that's probably closer, right? In
but like if I'm playing
theory.
unranked in League, and then I'm getting accused of being a tryhard, is this not the exact same behavior as people getting mad at each other over power level in Commander?
I think with the tryhard stuff, yes.
Especially
I would agree with that.
Especially if, like, let's say there's a strong character right now, right? Like that we all know is strong. And then somebody picks the strong character and then the other players are complaining about that. Like, is that not the exact same thing? Like, my whole argument here is really that, like, the commander behavior is something that you can observe across many different games. And it's really, like, just not actually that crazy unique.
Well, no, because like most games, the problem with comparing it to digital lock in a character and play games compared to Commander is that Commander has this social thing where we're meant to talk before we play.
Yeah.
Like you don't sit down with your League opponent, your Dota opponent, your Counter-Strike opponent, or whatever, and say, "No AWPs, please." Like, do you remember the days of Call of Duty lobbies where people would be like,
yes,
"No free frags, no Juggernaut"?
You're wrong about that. I am gonna challenge you on that so hard right now because we can't do that anymore. Did you ever play in a lobby matchmaking system where you could put text into the lobby?
Yeah, well, that does exist in Magic the Gathering Online, weirdly.
Yes,
and it's the butt of a joke. People will go and make a lobby in Magic the Gathering Online.
No,
but it'd be like a modern match. They'll go into the modern queues, right, and be like, no hand attack, no counter spell, no land destruction, no combos before turn 5, and you're like, I get you're trying to play kitchen table Magic, but I don't know if the majority of the people on this client are in that headspace. Right, so yeah, that did exist, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but like, it's mostly because it's been like taken out of the things. And
yes,
like I can take you. I've got one more comparison here. Like, sorry, I'm just arguing with you on this like really petty point. Okay. I just think it's really interesting, so I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all.
So like here's another consideration I feel. The basically the comparison is that with the tables like at Commander, we sit down, right? And then we talk about brackets. But I actually think that this is just like, and this is just a matter of it being a physical game with like real world logistics that are difficult to avoid. But that is actually already a failure of matchmaking, because ideally we would talk about brackets before we sit down at a table. So ideally we would have 20 people in a room and you go around, find the 4 people that agree with you on mindset, and then you sit down. Instead of sitting down at a table and hoping that you find 4 people that you agree with. And that is essentially the same.
That works for like conventions, right? That works for conventions. Doesn't work for your local shop where there might be only
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying you can't really do that. But that is fundamentally the same, like basically, I think with Commander, we have this like assumption that the match, like kind of, that it's different from something like queuing into a match on an online service. When in reality, where you're matched against like a couple of other random people from who knows where. But in reality, more often than not, when you sit down at a table with random people that you don't know, that is essentially the same thing. And then you're trying to argue or discuss into something where you can come to agreement. But sometimes that's just not possible. Like that just literally does not work.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, but that's kind of my point, is that conversation doesn't happen in most other games. It's very much a meat space tabletop game thing.
Yeah.
And it's only in the board gamey, casually muckabout format of Commander. This doesn't happen at standard FNM. You don't sit down with your opponent and discuss what you're going to play. You just play, and if you get smashed, you get smashed.
Yeah.
So Commander has some very unique hurdles to get past. And I think one of the other problems with, maybe this video is not big enough or long enough for this, is that the conversation that we have and the tools that we have aren't good enough. But the bracket system introduced some interesting stuff that was useful, like the lexicon around game changers, like how many game changers you playing compared to what I'm playing. But then there's arguments around, is the game changer list even extensive enough, and so on and so on. So
I think it's doing this. Where,
I'd say it's not big enough, but then at the same time, I don't know how practical it is to make it bigger either, which is like a really weird catch-22 area.
It's incredibly impractical, and I can tell you why. I run at my local game store. I run the FNM, the Commander FNM.
Okay.
And people just don't fucking know what the game changers are.
Yeah, exactly.
They just don't know.
And also, it doesn't really matter. Like, my deck we're about to discuss, we're meant to discuss in today's video, what does it think it is? Obviously, this is not Moxfield's fault. Does it think it's a 4?
It thinks it's a 4. But that's because you have MLD in it.
But my deck is literally so unoptimized. Like, I haven't even bothered to dig out fetch lands or shock lands or anything. My mana base is so bad. And then because I've got one card that temporarily blows up lands, it's like bracket 4. Like, and of course, there's more nuance to that in a conversation to be had. But then, like you said, you sit down with people, they don't know what the game changers are. Some of them have never heard of the bracket system. Other people who have heard of the bracket system misalign their brackets because really we're just doing the fucking 1 to 10 system again, bottom 1 to 5. But it's a bit better for the discussion.
No. We're not doing it on 1 to 5. 1 doesn't exist and 5 doesn't exist. We're doing it on 2 to 4. Yeah.
Well, 5 does exist.
Yeah, but
5
it's a different game. Like,
yes.
if I say we're playing CDH, we're not playing Commander, right?
But it does exist, and people will tell you they're CDH, and then you will play with them, and they're not CDH. That is still a problem we have. I've met so many. I've played against people that are like, they're CDH, and then they'll just fucking tap out. And I'm like, if I've got a combo here, dude, you're fucking dead. And they're like, No, I'll never forget my first time playing CDH. I had a Scavenging Ooze in play, and it stopped the guy to my left winning.
Yeah.
He's actually a content creator, but I won't name him. And he's really a bit salty about the entire game. And afterwards, like, if you know that Scavenging Ooze, I'd won. I'm like, if this is how CDH is, where you can't win through one Scavenging Ooze, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, it's interesting. Like, even CDH itself, the players that play it regularly do know what's going on, and they are a self-contained unit. But then there are people who are trickling in who aren't quite there yet.
Yeah.
I will tell you they are, because it's like a macho ego thing, and then you play with them, and it's like, that's not quite the CDH you think it is, brother.
I am so close to opening another can of worm. What even is CEDH? And I am just, I am shutting it. We're not going there.
I know, we haven't got to the deck
yet.
How long are we
42 minutes into this recording.
Hopefully people watching have found some of this interesting.
We've mentioned your commander.
We've talked more about where the commander is from in another intellectual property than we have about the deck itself.
That's true. Like, I mean, at the current rate, if we go by one card at a time, we always spend 40 minutes on each of them. I mean, this is gonna be one hell of a video.
We've hinted at Fall of the Thrones. We've
That's
done
true.
1.5 cards in 40 minutes.
Okay, let's actually do this a little bit. Come on, let's actually talk about the deck a little bit.
Okay.
I would be happy to.
What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know tell me, what is it about? Tell me what Arbasmir does, and tell me what the plan is. Come on.
All right. So I guess you put the card on screen here. Arbasmir is a 2-mana human assassin, which is a 2/2, and then whenever you put a historic permanent into play that's not a token, which is very important. It enters, does 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. So it is a pinging engine card. It itself is historic, and it also enters itself in its own text, so it's very clear that it pings itself as well. And the reason I built Arbasmir is because I do like pinging. Doing integers of 1 damage a lot of the time, multiple times or many times, is a thing that I've always enjoyed in Magic. Impact Tremors is one of my favourite cards. It's in the deck. So that's kind of what drew me to him. But also, I've got a bit of a philosophy at the moment where I'm like, I want Commander games to end. I hate 3-hour games. Yeah. I kind of hate 2-hour games. If a game can finish in an hour and a half, it's wonderful. So I've started to play Commanders like this and Baby Volrath. Not Volrath, sorry, Baby Valgavoth, the 4-mana one. As decks that I may not even win, but I'm going to whittle everyone's life totals down and put out cards sometimes that like improve other people's board states at a cost of life to push the game towards a conclusion. And I think that's a good thing. There's other ways we can make games go quicker as well, like appropriate pre-game conversations of smaller pods and getting off your phone. There are other like meta-textual stuff, but exactly, and that's another meta one, I guess. Absolutely. So Arbasmir is in that philosophy of, hey guys, is this the last game of the night and we need to finish quickly? Or however, do we want to actually play 3 games tonight instead of the 1.5 would normally get done? Let me get Arbasmir out, because I may not win, but everyone's going to get shot to bits.
I think it's actually like interesting to say about like quick games, because something that I see a lot with Commander, right, is like people kind of taking their turn and then going like, wait, hold on, and then taking 3 steps back and then like taking it again, and it's just like, just play your fucking turn. If you make a mistake, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
just don't make it next time.
People, I'm all right with take backs as long as they aren't like long-winded ones. If someone, I do it sometimes. I'll do a couple of things, but hang on, this doesn't make sense. Can I do this the other way? But I'm pretty fast with how I play.
Yeah.
I'm very clear about how I play, and I sort of narrate about what I'm doing so people know what I'm doing as well. So I'm fine with that as long as it's not, taking us to fucking 11 o'clock and we haven't finished like turn 5 or whatever.
So
time is important. Time is valuable.
Time is valuable. I agree. Play the games quickly. Just talking and
play commanders that end games. Have a win con.
Yeah, right.
I actually have a plan.
Look, if you're playing the 5th board wipe in your deck, I'm leaving. I don't even care anymore.
I'm okay with board wipes if there's like a Descent into Avernus and a Sulfuric Vortex in play. But which I think both of those are in here. Or at least Descent probably is. I don't know. If
Is there
Security
Ascent?
is.
I don't think so. No, it's
If there's
not.
not, that is a mistake.
Well, I guess we figured out something to fix. Look at that. There was already some value to this discussion here. All right, so the plan with the deck is you're going to play either legendaries or artifacts mainly, right?
Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Are the
I
three
mean, there's not
historic
that many
elements, right?
sagas, I guess. Right?
No, but Fall of the Fan's a saga, so I can.
That's right. Okay, just tell me about Fall of the Fan. Come on, just tell me about Fall of the Fan.
So Fall of the Fan is a 6 mana enchantment saga, so it's historic. So it enters the battlefield and it pings people. And its first pip on the saga says destroy all lands, so blows up all lands. And then the second and third pip are each player puts 2 cards from their graveyard back onto the battlefield. And in essence, what this does is it allows me to set up a situation where I can remove everyone's resources and finish the game. So I don't play this as a stall or lock piece as such. It's normally when everyone's on like sub 10 life and I know I can flicker some stuff to whittle them down and attack with an Arbaz and finish the game. The other important thing is that it triggers Arbaz once itself, and there are some historic lands in here. The mana base is incredibly suboptimal at the moment. We can talk about that in a moment, how I just don't optimize my decks. I get too bored too quickly. Also, it's normally built out of stuff that's in boxes that are near me or folders that are near me. If I own a card and it's deep in that cupboard, it's not getting played. Or if I really need it, like Norrin, it's a proxy. I played this deck on mana
you know
spending,
you
so-
have one. You know it's somewhere. It's just...
I
but
know
it comes
I own
out of the printer quicker.
I might even own 3 dozen Norrins at this point. Like it's one of those cards, right? But I played this on Mana Spending recently, which is a UK gameplay channel. And the first card I play is this horrendously badly drawn proxy of Norrin the Wary. And these 3 guys were new and didn't know what Norrin the Wary did. For people who don't know what Norrin the Wary does, it's a 1 mana 2/1 red legendary creature that whenever you cast a spell, anyone attacks, he flickers himself out. So he pings with Arbaz every single turn, pings with Impact Tremors every single turn, and triggers other stuff too.
Works great with the card draw engines.
Yeah, it works. The card draw engines works with Arbaz, works with Perforos. It's just a recurring source of damage, and he's really good. He's kind of like the secondary commander in a way. So Fall of the Throne can bring back things like Ancient Den. It can bring back things like Arganjo Castle, and the new Arganjo if I've bothered to put it in. I have bothered to put it in. Dark Souls Citadel and such. So you can get like 2 more pings out of it as well. So that's already 3 damage. So if we're in the late game and everyone's low, I blow up everyone's land, shoot everyone for a bunch of damage. And the other thing that the deck used to do, have I removed it? I think I removed it. I used to play a few graveyard disruption pieces as well, so I could eat people's lands, so they couldn't get them back before. But that was a little bit too much, and I stopped. But
that is actually just MLD at that point. Like I kind of like
but it's MLD when the game is coming to an end. It's not Armageddon turn 4. Laugh out loud, move on with no one doing anything. It's I've got an engine set up, which is like Arbaz Mir and a flicker thing or similar, and I'm gonna like ping you out sort of thing. So that's why I said that, and that's why Ravages of War and Armageddon got cut once upon a time. I'm checking that I'm not lying to you. Yeah, they were cut. So because they were in there originally. So like I'm an aggro deck, you know.
That's interesting. That but I think a problem that a lot of Commander players struggle with is like how do you deal with green and like ramping a lot? And it seems your solution is just blow them up.
Yeah, so this is a talking point at the moment, right? It's like that MLD should be accepted more because it hinders green, and green has like a huge advantage in the slowness of the format to ramp up. There is an argument, the counter argument to that is that you blow up all their lands and then they recover by casting ramp spells, and the other players who can't cast ramp spells don't. So I don't prescribe to it completely. I think people should look at mass land destruction as a viable thing in decks that are aggro. So if you look historically at competitive formats of Magic, I know Commander's not competitive, but it's you do need to win. Is that like people don't play Ravages of War and Armageddon in fucking control decks? That's not a thing that people did. People play those cards in decks that can aggro people out. So it'll be in white weenie decks in the sideboard. So you bring it in to blow up the control players' lands, and then you kill them with your Savannah Lions or whatever, like back in the day. Or like my favorite deck of all time that I've played in many formats, Death and Taxes, plays Cataclysm, which is you pick one of each permanent type and keep it in play. So you cast it and the opponent gets 1 land left. You get 1 land left, and then you play like a Rishton Port or Wasteland and block the last land. Anyway, the point is you Cataclysm them with a creature with an equipment attached to it still in play, and then just kill them in 2 turns. So the reason there's MLD in here, but less than there used to be, is that Arbaz Mir is a good deck at closing the game out, and that's why it's there. I don't think you should just play it willy-nilly in Commander, or even to answer green. I think you play it when you've got an insurmountable board state that they can't beat. You make a lot of tokens, and you blow up everyone's land, they aren't wrathing you anymore, and then you can just like bang, bang, bang people down, right? So that's why I think MLD should be played. We don't talk enough about it as an aggro tool, because aggro gets neglected in Commander, right? People don't play it.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of rare. I mean, to be honest, like I think in the lower bracket games, right, where you're dealing more with precons and so on, it's usually very difficult to aggro people down because you just like don't really have quite the resources, and another player is going to ramp a bunch, and then you're behind. So it makes sense that it doesn't see as much play. But this is more of a bracket free deck. Is that what you would say? Like, where would you categorize this?
I think I play firmly in high bracket 3, low bracket 4, depending on how much effort I've put into optimizing the deck. So I'm joking that this isn't a bracket 4 deck, but that's the areas that I like to play in. Because I expect people to know what they're doing and play good cards. Like this has an Ancient Tomb in it. I know that's a bit. Is that a boogeyman? Do people get upset about Ancient Tomb? Like Green's over there making 6 land drops, right? And then you play an Ancient Tomb in your white-red deck, and they're like, "Whoa, there, cowboy, game changer!" And you're like, "Oh, come on, come the fuck on." So yeah.
I mean, Ancient Tomb is kind of a bit of a broken card, like, but
it's an absurd magic card, absolutely. But
I do still think that like there's other cards in the format that are widely accepted that are actually worse than Ancient Tomb.
I always say it whenever I play Lotus Petal on the deck, because if you go like Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, and play like a 4-drop on turn 2, and I'm like, Lotus Petal should be a game changer. Because I think like Lotus Petal on fast mana kind of should be insinuated that a lot of it should be game changer stuff, but it's not. So
yeah, I mean, do you really have like super scary stuff that you're doing on turn 4, or like with 4 mana really? It
not
feels
really.
Like this is more of a deck. Like what does the game plan look like, right? Like to me, it seems like the game plan is you just kind of like slowly build up this engine of pingers, and then you put down new pingers every turn, and then you just kind of like get them.
Yeah, kind of. Well, the other sub theme with the deck is because I'm obsessed with it is flickering stuff.
Yeah.
So like. The reason that white is my favorite color of Magic is because I like to flicker things. So like there are cards in here that aren't necessarily even optimal for the game plan. Like if I was trying to build Arbaz Mid to be super highly aggressive, I don't think I'd include Flicker Wisp, for example. But I do because I love this stuff. So Outdoor Adrian's in here, Flicker Wisp's in here, Restoration Angel's in here, Ephemerate and similar should be in here, and Thalia. So part of the thing is also getting as much value out of my stupid dumb little dudes that ETB and ping you, or ETB and find a thing, or ETB and draw a card, and like sort of have a grinding engine as well. And use the flicker stuff to protect the parts. Like, I like to play quite reactively. So as much as an aggro deck, you play Arbaz and ping the table, then pass round. Someone tries to kill Arbaz, you flicker him, you untap, you ping some more, you hold up another flicker spell or some sort of like tricksy bullshit, normally in the form of flickering, and then go on like that and just try to play. Passively is not the word, because people start to realize how like people start to go down, and everyone starts to get nervous.
Attacking is the thing, right?
No, not really.
But you don't need to.
Didn't play any equipment in the end either. That was one of the original plans of the deck, was to suit Arbaz up as well to give the extra like aggro, but I end up not like cutting that stuff too.
Like I personally find that decks like this are usually best just kind of like you ping people down, but you don't attack. You just keep your creatures back as a blocker in case, right? Keep them safe.
Block and then flicker something, for example.
Yeah. I mean, everything that you have on the board because of your flicker package eventually becomes a resource as well.
Yeah, it's virtual card advantage. So cards may not say literally draw a card on them, but they're things that do a thing when they enter or leave, and thus if you flicker them, you get like a virtual card out of it. Some of it's a literal card, like Recruit of the Guard should be in there. So that'll go and get me like an actual card, but some of it will like make a token or make multiple tokens or just do some pinging, because that is a card. If you can ping, if you do like 6 damage to the table with 2 pings, that's a card. Shooting the whole table for like 2 damage each, that's technically a card when your game plan is to reduce everyone's life totals to 0 or as low as possible. But yeah, the deck is, it's funny because you asked me my favorite deck, right? And this is one of my favorite decks to play at the moment. But like, I just don't optimize things. And this is not me making excuses for like why I don't win games or whatever. It's more like, I think optimization is like the thief of joy a little bit in Commander. And I also try not to play the same shit all the time, because I've got quite a big collection of stuff. So I try to play all the same toys. But I've probably picked a bad deck to point that out, because people know me for Abdul Adrian as a deck. But no, Abdul Adrian is a deck that I've played a lot on like videos and stuff. No, and this deck's got Abdul and all his toys in it. So I'm saying I don't play all the same stuff. And then like he's secretly in there with, I think it's got 1 infinite combo too. So
I think it's fine. Like I see this as like the kind of scenario where maybe this isn't your favorite deck, but like
it is at the moment.
Right. Like it's at the moment, because like, I mean, ultimately we are always just a snapshot of our current selves, right? And like, I might have a deck that I like the most long term, but I haven't played it in a couple of weeks because I am obsessed with my new toy. Which one is my favorite now in that moment? I think both are perfectly valid. And honestly, you can talk about whatever. I mean, like, I don't mind. Like, the whole goal today is, like, I say favorite deck, but I'm happy to bring talk about whatever you enjoy, whatever deck you want to bring.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite decks to play at the moment from the speed angle as well, and pushing everyone to like be proactive. Because when everyone's thoughts are ticking down, people start doing proactive stuff.
I think it's really interesting. So like, to you, this deck is less of the specific cards in it and more the broad experience of playing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the other deck I was thinking of bringing was Valgavoth, but the reason I didn't bring Valgavoth to this conversation is that it's actually like a heavily modified precon, because the Valgavoth precon was so good that I've kept like 25, 30 of the non-land cards in it, maybe a bit lower than that. So like, it's a kind of a boring deck to discuss from like, yeah, I'm just playing more copies of the same thing. But it's a very fun play experience. Again, but just like this, it lowers everyone's life totals in a way that makes everyone start being proactive. If you lower everyone low, and you let people hit you as well. Here's a political thing. It's like, you can't lower everyone else's life totals and stay high, because people will worry that you'll win. So you have to be like, oh, if you need to hit me for a trigger, do it. Oh, you hit me. I'm just a small bean. Hit me or whatever. and then you look less of the problem. And Arbaz gives you some padding for that as well.
Yeah, that's actually, I think. That's actually like a really interesting aspect of this commander, right? Like, there are other pinger-based commanders where the problem is, okay, well, I'm pinging everybody else, but everybody else then attacks me, and then I still die. But this guy gives you at least a little bit of life, and I mean, that can be relevant.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. You can take some chunks, and then you ping the table a couple more times, and like, oh, you're back above 30 again. I'm like, oh, how did that happen? Anyway. Here's Fall of the Thran. No, you don't play the 30 life point, that's for sure.
Oh, here's the Armageddon. Oops, it's still in the deck. There's one card that is in here that I don't know if anybody else could play it, but I think it's fantastic that you have it. Tell me about the Pleasant Taxa.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the Pleasant Taxa is technically not legal, so you have to have a Rule Zero conversation about.
Oh, if you play this
Gavin
against
Verhey's. Me, yeah, most people are fine with it. So,
if you specifically play this card, I don't think we even need to talk about it.
Well, there'll be people who don't know who I am or what the card is or what the unknown events are or what a bracket system is. So I have had circumstances where I'm having that conversation. People are like, okay, I've got to do a lot of explaining here in like a very small time.
There's a lot of context.
So for those that don't know and don't understand what this card is, I'm assuming Baumi's putting on screen here. This is the Pleasant Taxa. So Gavin Verhey runs an event which is like a chaos sealed event at all the Magic Cons. And at them, you get like a bunch of boosters to open up and make a brawl deck and play limited brawl in them. I won't explain that, but it's basically 1v1 commander with like some life total changes and some slight rule changes. During those events, he also did these. These are called playtest cards. So playtest cards originally are stickers stuck on normal Magic cards to playtest new sets. And then these, from the Gavin Verhey Unknown Event playtest cards, are riffs on that, where he's made cards that reference the city that they're in, people at the event, and content creators. And I got my first one at the first event that I was at where he was doing them, which was it Vegas? Was it Amsterdam? Was it Barcelona? I'm blanking. It's one of the ones last year. I think it's Amsterdam. And this card is my one. So the Pleasant Taxa is a 2-mana 2/2, and as it enters the battlefield, you choose one of the following: casting creature spells, casting non-creature spells, searching libraries, drawing a card beyond the first each turn, or activating abilities other than mana abilities. Doing the chosen actions cost players 1 more. It's a parallel lateral effect that affects you, the player, as well as the opponents. But you get to tailor it to the situation that you need it in. And basically, it's a resettable via flicker, which I think was intentional from Gavin, because he knows what I'm like, version of Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, where Thalia makes all non-creature spells cost 1 more, and Thalia is one of my most played cards, one of my most beloved cards. There is a version of her in the deck. And it does that. So you can muck around with, like, normally I set it to like card draw, usually, because people are trying to draw more cards. You want them to have to pay mana for it. It's really funny to make the Ristic player pay 1 for the Ristic triggers. That is pretty wonderful. And it's in here, like, it doesn't synergize that heavily with the thing. It is a legendary, so it does trigger Arbaz Mir. And I can reset it with Flicker, so arguably it does synergize. But really, it's just like I wanted one of my command decks to have a home for it. And I didn't put it into Abdul Adrian itself, because that deck already slows games down. I didn't want to put taxing effects into Abdul Adrian himself, blue-white Abdul Adrian. So I put it in here, because it can help stall out parts of the game so I can get that over that last line. That's the whole point. Like, stacks doesn't really work unless you have an aggro element, and that's where there's a little bit of stacks in here, like Thalia, Heretic Cathar in this. So that's the long story short as to why I'm playing it. It's my fucking card.
Yes.
It needs to have a home. It's in my party box. It's here.
Do you only have one of them? You only play the one?
No. So I own a few because I've been given them by people, which is really nice of them. I don't think there's not that many in existence, right? Because they only get for some
I got no idea how many of these.
I think I own 3 of them. I don't know how many there are, but I own 3 of them. Created by Gavin. I mean, it's not hard to replicate this. It's a sticker on a card, right? People could fake them. But there's one in my party box.
Not printed on?
No, it's literally a printed sticker stuck onto a card. It physically feels and looks like a playtest card. It is an absolutely immersive callback to what playtesting is in Magic, yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't buy this. This does not exist.
Right. No, there's not that many of them. But then, again, like I said, because it's a sticker printed, you could very easily duplicate or counterfeit this if you really wanted to. They do have a bit of a secondary market value. I have a patron and now friend of the channel, Pastor, who has a cube with every single one of these in it, the playtest cube. So after every MagicCon, he's frantically clambering to buy them off people to put in his cube. It's great. It's a really fun commander. It's a commander cube or brawl cube. Anyway, that's why it's in there.
I do think that actually brings up like a bit of an interesting point because you keep saying that your deck is not optimized, right? And like you even said that you think the optimization of it is not necessarily like the most fun you can have with it. Is that because you like that kind of like continuous journey of modifying it and changing it around?
Partly, yeah. I do believe decks are never finished. Like that's just how it is, right? Like I believe nothing's ever finished, right? You only put out a video when it's good enough, never when it's done.
Oh
right?
Yeah, no, nothing is ever done.
Done is the enemy of
the only thing, or whatever. The only thing you get is a finished timeline. Like it's just
exactly.
You don't get a finished product.
Decks don't even need to be like that. Although I did do a video once about amplification. So you have a deck, you enjoy it to a certain point, and then just freeze it and don't update it. Don't buy all the new power creep shit. Just let it live and breathe. Not even breathe. Live and not breathe, maybe the case may be, as it's for myself. But yes, continuing to change decks all the time is something that I love doing. I also like problem solving with suboptimal tools. So I like formats like Cube where you on the fly have to figure out how you're playing. Like quite a lot about Commander. It's throwing a load of cards together and not having a explicit game plan of A plus B plus C equals win. And instead having various things in those categories, and even though it's not a win, it's getting you out of a pickle. It's why I like flicker effects so much. Someone does something, I'm like, how the fuck can I interact with that? It's normally Ephemerate plus Flicker Wisp. Does something to deal with the problem that someone is doing. It normally solves every problem and always. So that's kind of a way I like to play. It's like a puzzle box of stuff. And I think when you start to optimize, and you see this in constructive formats a bit too, when you got 4s and stuff as well, that element does fall away a little bit. I still love it, but it feels less unique play experience each time, which Commander and Cube do with the singleton rule and the suboptimal play patterns you can have if you're not going down the CDH route, which is normally a combo, right? Like a lot of those decks end with combos that are
And a lot of those decks also just 2-draw out the same cards over and over again, which I think is also interesting. You said this is a high bracket 3, low bracket 4 deck. That's usually your range. And at that range, I would usually expect a lot of 2-draws. But I think there's one in here, maybe?
In this particular deck, I think I rely on tutors too much. Because from that problem-solving puzzle perspective, I do love finding the thing I need, toolboxy stuff. I try to slap myself on the wrist and stop doing it. This deck has probably just the one with Recruiter. I'm not playing Enlightened Tutor, which is another thing I love to play.
Yeah, I mean,
and also various mages that find artifacts, but we're not in blue. So like Nuka-Cola vending machine is one of my favorite Doodle Duck stupid artifacts. That's in this deck. It triggers our bars, then it makes tokens, and the tokens trigger other things. And normally I'll be like, I need to go find my Nuka-Cola vending machine, which is exactly the opposite of what I'm saying, where I don't go get the same thing all the time. But also Nuka-Cola vending machine isn't the combo win con that I'm talking about. Nuka-Cola vending machine is a Durdle dot deck sort of nonsense card.
When I reached out to you, right, you did not have this deck list online. You didn't have it ready. And that's actually a bit unusual. Everybody else I've talked to before was just here's a link. People fucking love cultivating their Moxfield deck lists, and I appreciate that some people like to do. I do not. It actually, the idea of writing a deck list into a website fills me with dread's not the right word, but it bores the shit out of me. So I played this deck on Manasplaining. We filmed it. It got edited. There's a time on 4 weeks. And I said to Sam, "I'll get it written up. I promise. I will. I'm a disorganized person." We got to release the video. People in the comments "Where's the deck list?" And I'm like, oh God. And then I meant to do it and it got on my to-do list and I kept,
it's that procrastination ADHD thing as well, where you're like, I don't know if I have ADHD, but some of my tendencies do seem similar, as everyone thinks. TikTok tells us we've all got it, right? But anyway, I'll put it off and off and off. And I do that because I don't find it interesting or exciting. And also, if I'm completely fucking honest, I know as a content creator, this is a great way to look at it, but like, the list is quite literally suboptimal. If someone sent this to me and said, how can I make it better? I'd have a lot of like notes to make around like just the mana base alone, right? Like just play some fetches and some shocks and stuff and fix that sort of thing up. So me giving someone this suboptimal list without being able to talk to them about how like a lot of it is vibes based or like whatever I have in like this box to my left of cards that I'm planning to use in a thing or something makes people like be like, oh well, this content creator did this thing, this must be the right thing. Like, probably not. Especially if you don't play like me as well. Like there are definitely packages in here, like the Flickr stuff, that's very tuned to the way that I like to play Magic, that other people find boring or don't like or don't see the lines or don't. So no, fucking, especially in Commander where like, in competitive formats, it makes sense to have a deck list where we're aiming towards optimization to win a tournament or go 5-0 in a league or whatever. That makes sense, and that doesn't bug me as much because tuning the last couple of cards is distinctly interesting to that format. Tuning the last couple of cards in Commander sounds fucking boring to me. Like the format to me is not this like, let's get to the most tight playable thing, unless you want to do CDH, I understand and appreciate that. I think people should play pet cards. People should play unique stuff. People should play things that aren't new things as well. Like the game prints so many fucking cards that are better than previous versions of the same effect, and we all just end up playing the same fucking cards, and it bugs me because I just feel like it makes the format less special and interesting and exciting, which is this singleton toolboxy nonsense format where you're going to see something you haven't seen before and then have to react with it in something that you've got that they haven't seen before. And that's where I think the magic lies, not in like, oh, I tutored for Thassa's Oracle, by the way, or like, oh, I'm going to fucking add Nors now, my average CMC is 1.2, and you're like...
So I think that's like fascinating to me. Like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I am a full-on bracket 2 gamer. I love my bracket 2 games, right?
Sure.
But you are still playing at a fairly high power level. Like, don't you feel like that those two ideas are maybe a little bit like opposing?
I could see what you would say that, and I kind of agree that they are butting heads in a way. I think that playing with people who know what they're doing and play at a high level and ability, but playing with suboptimal piles of cards, is the absolute peak of Magic. Like, playing someone who's going to do something and you're like, fuck, I wish I'd thought of that. That's so fucking cool. But they're doing it with, like, a draft common and, like, a flicker spell and some cards you haven't seen since 1997. That's the good shit. And that's why Cube is absolutely my favorite way to play Magic. Is you sit down, you've not built a deck off some prescriptive deck list online. Not that net decking is bad, but like, it's kind of an issue. And then you guys build on the fly in this like cool separate game to Magic and drafting, and then you play this game where you've got like these pieces and you sort of understand the meta game a little bit, but everything's slightly different. That's the good shit. So that's why I like that 3-4 area. Of course, then I butt into people who are playing the optimum mana base, 6 game changers, 5 tutors, 2 different infinite combos. And I'm like, well, and then if I lose, I lose. But I also don't mind trying to play into that stuff and fuck with them. There is a perverse joy in sitting down to a table where one person thinks they're better than the other 3, and all you do is stop them doing their thing. Isn't that a thing? Like, I love it. No, I absolutely fucking love it.
I've had those experiences. Although, like, oh my God, you just like gave me a flashback on one of the most frustrating experiences of my life, where I was playing at a table where somebody was like that, right? Like very high power deck, and everybody knew they always play like full combo decks and whatnot. And I had set up my board in a way where I'm like, okay, I can keep this guy in lockdown. I need to spend resources to do it, but I can keep him in lockdown. And he was just whining the whole time. The whole time. And then like finally I got him down to like 5 life, and I'm like, whatever. Get your 1 turn. And then he goes for a combo win. And I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. You know, like, what is that shit?
I had the exact same thing. I made a video about it recently about a local player. I don't think he's very happy with me because I didn't name him in it, but he knew it was him. I don't know. He's not a very nice opponent, but it's very same thing. He's going to combo kill the table each turn, and I'm like killing his commander, flickering the thing off his thing. I might have even been playing Arbaz, actually, come to think of it. As if Arbaz or Abdul. And I'm just disrupting. I might stop him like 5 times, and he like starts to lose his mind, gets really salty, complains. The table becomes uncomfortable, it's so bad. I even tell him, I think you're being a bit of a dickhead. Can you chill out? He doesn't. I'm like, okay, I kind of want out of the situation, so I just stop playing, essentially. He untaps and wins with a combo kill that I've stopped them doing 5 times. I'm like, Sure. Are you happy now? They still weren't happy because I was targeting them. No, because you're the threat and that's how the game works. But I do enjoy not being the table police as such, but I do enjoy also looking like I can't stop them. People look at a white deck, right? You got no blue mana open, you got very little blue mana. My Abdul Agent deck plays 3 blue cards.
Yeah.
Blue is for losers. But when you're all these white, and then you cast 3 white spells and none of their stuff does anything and you stop them winning and they're like, what? And you're like, yeah, baby, let's go.
I'm actually so glad. So I am a white enjoyer as well.
Yeah, it's my favorite color in Magic.
I probably play the most white. I used to be a huge green guy. And then I realized I can do everything I want to do in green and white as well. But also I can annoy people.
The based green to white pipeline, right?
Yeah.
The green virgin versus the white Chad. I should say white Chad. Jeez, that's not good for...
Yeah, no, that's not it. That's not where we want to go with this. I'm just glad you went with green virgin instead of, another color.
But white has always been my favorite color in Magic. White, when I was a kid, I liked black more. But as I got into competitive formats like Modern and Legacy and stuff, I played a lot of decks that would blow up the opponent's lands and aggro them out and stuff with Thalias and Wastelands and Rishton Ports and Flicker Wisps and such. And those things have all transferred over into how I play Commander. I have decks that don't do this. I play lands and I play mill decks for fun and stuff. But ultimately, my favorite thing to do is to muck about with white cards that everyone think are bad. I love that. Obviously, White's had its whole entire reputation and play style redefined and changed in Commander over the last 5 years. They put in so many white cards of the woods, draw a card on them, which is great. I was one of the ones pointing out how bad white cards were in Commander 6 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still want to go back to the cards that were printed 6 years ago and prove that actually you can have fun with them. You can do some cool stuff with them.
So is there an example of one of these cards that you would describe as bad in this list? Is there anything that sticks out to you?
So bad. Okay, so people who don't understand or have not played with or whatever will underestimate cards so Flicker Wisp is an obvious example of this. People know it exists. People who've played 60-card Constructed know it exists and knows it can do stuff. But people don't expect Wisp to do some of the stuff that it does. So Flicker Wisp is a very unique example of a flicker spell because it doesn't just flicker creatures, it flickers any permanent, and it doesn't just flicker your stuff, it flickers other people's stuff, and it's an end of turn return. So, for example, if someone they're really threatened about getting to 6 mana, they've missed several land drops, and they're like, if I get 6 mana, I'm going to win, or I'm in a good spot. You can, if you want to, in their upkeep or your end step, flicker your Wisp and take one of their lands out, and the land comes back at the next end step. You can do crazy stuff like that, which no one sees coming, and then they now have a newfound respect for Wisp. And then you can add other cards to it that people just don't really talk about that much. Maybe I'm overstating it because Parallax Wave is a $20 card, right? Parallax Wave is still expensive.
Yeah, I was actually curious about Parallax Wave. I'm glad you bring it up specifically.
$35. Wow. Because it hasn't print in a while. Parallax Wave does crazy stuff, again, with things like Wisp, because you can Wisp to reset it. It's got fading counters, which is not vanishing. So fading is where you take a counter off it in the upkeep, and when you finally can't take a count off of it, you sack it. So you can go one more turn of things stuck inside it. You can reset your own ETBs with it. You can rattlesnake people. So you're if you attack me, I'm just going to put you in the wave. And then they attack you, you put them in the wave. And I told you, I'm very honest about what I'm up to in Magic a lot of the time, as tricksy as I want to be. And then I play wave in pretty much all my decks, even my non-flicker decks.
Really?
If you pair green with it, my favorite thing to do is to gobble up a Eternal Witness towards the end of its lifetime, and then when it pops and all the things fall back out of the wave, the Eternal Witness gets it back from the bin, and then you recast Wave, and everyone's the wave's back!
Man.
So white resets it, green gets it back, and you just do loads of weird stuff with it.
Now I'm seeing the higher bracket behavior here, right?
Yes.
now I am
I wonder if I've mentioned Flicker to you, and you're what the fuck's he talking about? Because they can just be dirty decks and don't do anything. And I'm no, I'm taking people's lands away sometimes. I'm someone untaps, and they've got a sword of I don't know, War and Peace or something. They're oh, do you only have white blockers, Vince? I'm correct.
Oh, man.
And then they attack, and I'm guess I'll flash or flicker this and eat your sword off and then block you and stuff.
A friend of mine is the worst if it comes to that. He keeps beast withinning all of my bounce lands, and I'm so salty about it.
Oh, flickering bounce lands is great because they have to bounce another one.
Yeah, that's another one.
If you get them on turn 3, if they go land first turn, untap, play bounce land, put the land back in their hand, and you can flicker it because you're ahead with a Lotus Petal or whatever. If flickers the bounce land, they have to put the bounce land back in their hand, and they've got no lands in play. I love mucking about with bounce lands. That's why I don't play them the majority of the time. I've started playing them more now because people don't do this, but ghost quarter them, strip mine them, wasteland them, field of ruin them. Like always, if I see a bounce land, my whole game plan gets skewed. I'm like, it's such good value to blow that up. It's such good value to blow that up.
So like I haven't been playing Magic for that long. So I don't have any super old cards, right? But I own one singular reserve list card because I went out of my way to buy it, and that is Lotus
what is
Veil.
Lotus. Lotus Veil. Yeah. Yeah.
And Lotus Veil.
Is it got hexproof? The new one's got hexproof.
The new one got hexproof. The old one does not have hexproof, but you still have to sacrifice 2 lands.
That is the kind of card that I would love to flicker because it needs to be effect, right? So if you play that and sack 2 lands, and then I wisp it, you have to sack 2 more lands. And look, I'm not all about blowing up everyone's lands. I've talked about it a lot, but can you see why that's like an irresistible premise?
No,
and also
absolutely.
It's very funny. The other 2 players who are watching, they will encourage me. I'll be like, shall I flicker the Lotus Veil? And they're like, yes, do it. So that's why I don't play Lotus
encourage you. You're using your resources to mess with one specific player and they are benefiting.
Yeah, but I mean, Parallax Wave's like 5 resources in a can, right? I can spend 1 can together.
I mean,
but,
like with the Parallax Wave. Once you got the Parallax Wave in play, you can really do whatever you want, right? That card, that card I think is really interesting because it doesn't really read that crazy, but once you see it in action, that thing is nuts.
Because like, some of examples. So I joke that Wisp and Parallax Wave are 2 cards that basically turn off a lot of the rules of Magic. Wisp, if you're Wisp in some way to flicker or do instant speed, like the rules of Magic just no longer apply because you can do so many weird things, right? And like Parallax Wave plus like Abdul Adrian, for example, like Abdul can enter and then you eat 4 things or 5 things with Parallax Wave because you have to see the upkeep trigger for it to go. 5 things into Parallax Wave, then with the trigger of Abdul on the stack, you resolve it. Parallax Wave goes under Abdul, all 5 things fall out. If one of the things is a flicker spell, you flicker Abdul, Parallax Wave comes back into play, you put another Abdul trigger on the stack, and you've just done like 12 ETBs or whatever. Some of these are historic as well, so if Arbaz Mirror is involved, everyone's just like getting shot. I'm over here like getting incremental huge amounts of circles of value, and everyone else is like innocent bystanders who are getting hit by the flak and the shrapnel.
So when you is that how like this deck often plays out? Is it more of like an individual, okay, I'm pinging you down one at a time, or do you rather have these big turns where you're like, okay, everybody's taking 10 damage right now?
It's a bit of both, right? Like play Albaz next turn, play an artifact, maybe play an artillerist next turn, make an artifact token and an artifact, do another 2 pings, and then you've got like a Parallax Wave when Abdul Adrian comes into play, or Semester's End, is that in there?
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah. You hit with those things, then things just start going a bit crazier, especially if you've got things inside the wave or the Abdul. There are a couple of cards that aren't in here that will probably end up in here because there's an Ox from like Tarkir. Oh, I shouldn't mention it, I can't remember it. That eats things up on entrance battlefield. It might be from Origins. Either way, it's a bad version of Abdul Adrian.
You mean Lumbering World Wagon? No, that's something else. No, that's the green thing. No. I know which one you mean. It's like a 5 mana vehicle thing. I don't know.
No, it's Lumbering Battlements, and it's from Guilds of Ravnica.
But I knew it was Lumbering.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So when it enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield. It's +2/+2 for each card exiled this way. It's a Vigilant 4/5. It's not exciting, but it's a card that was on the shortlist to go into this and my actual full-on Abdul Adrian deck because it's just another example of you stick a load of things up its arse and you flicker it, and like just pandemonium happens. And people aren't, like I said, people don't know these cards or expect them. And then when you do this stuff, people get wide-eyed, shocked, and surprised. Because everyone's expecting shit out of, like, the Nekusar or certain things are signpost things, right? People aren't... Who the fuck's playing Arbaz Mir?
Nobody.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, except for that one guy at my LGS who seems to be entirely Assassin's Creed. There's this one guy that I play with, like, at the LGS occasionally, and his entire collection is Assassin's Creed. So I've actually seen like a lot of
Assassin's Creed, right?
He just fucking loves Assassin's Creed, that dude. He's just like...
But that was me with Magic for a long time, right? So I can't criticize him for being all in on Assassin's Creed when I was all in on Magic for a very long time.
Anyways, I think that more or less covers it. Maybe, I don't know. Is there any particular card that you feel like...
The perception I'm getting was that I didn't do a very good job of really selling it initially. And then when we get to talk about some of my favorite cards in the deck, you might be seeing the picture a bit more. Yeah. I feel like you were just like, oh, he's bought a pinger deck and it flickers some shit.
No, I never.
But it flickers everything all the time. So
look, here's the thing. I basically never assume that because I think one of the cool things about Magic and Commander in specific is really that no matter who you are or how much effort you put necessarily into building each deck, there's always a lot of personality that goes into it. And ultimately, that's what I care about. I care less about the specific cards, and I care a lot more about who's building it. And I think that you've really shown that. And I think that's cool. And it shows that you're excited about it. So I usually do this as kind of like the closer. Is there any one synergy, any one card that you still feel like we haven't talked about that you think is worth bringing up?
Okay, so there's loads of pingers and shit. There's the impact tremors, there's Perforos, there's General Crete and all that sort of thing. And there's an artillerist. I can't remember his fucking name. I was just looking for it. It's the one that pings when artifacts enter. Ingenious something.
You mean the Gatekeeper?
Not in here?
No, Gatekeeper is...
Gatekeeper is creatures too.
Creatures.
Did I cut the artifact one?
Maybe?
I guess I have. There's a point where I was like, because I was making like food and clues a bit more in like an earlier version of this, I had the artifact one. Okay, anyway, talk about pingers. That's all pingers. One fun card is Devilish Valet. So it's a known thing. People know the card because there's loads of like videos of people doing combos on Arena with it. 3 mana, 1/3, Devil Warrior, Trample and Haste. So it can literally come out of nowhere. Hell, it can come out of Abdul Adrian's arsehole and then still go for it, right? Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, double Devilish Valet's power into end of turn. So like if you play Abdul Adrian and you make like 4 tokens off of him, you've already got like 4 integers of doubling. If you play Abdul Adrian, make 4 tokens off him by eating things, then flicker Abdul, the things come back out, then it eats more things, and you end up with like 12, 15, 16 cards coming to play. I don't know. I don't do math very well, but the Devilish Valley starts to add up. And suddenly you got this thing with like 30, 40, 50, because of how numbers work, is exponential, right? It gets really fucking big. And then you just like throw it at someone. This is one of the cards, because it's one of the cards in the deck that actually can one-shot people. I will kind of tell people, I'll be like, this might look reasonably innocuous, but as you might have seen last turn, I did make 12 dudes, right? 12 ones of Abdul, or my Parallax Wave popped and 5 things fell out. So just bear in mind he can get quite big. So that's a card that's like very different to the rest of it. It's almost a cut as well, because if we're in the mid game and someone's on 20 life and it becomes like a 22, maybe the math doesn't work out for that number, and then like I'm like, oh, now I'm going to kill someone, and I kind of feel bad because I'm like, I don't want to hit you and then we carry on playing for a while, because that's the antithesis of the deck in a way. So it's the one card in here I think that one shots one person, where everything else tends to be very chill in like doing everyone. But it is kind of funny. Right?
I'll give you that. It is definitely a funny one. I mean, it's one of those cases where like, I feel like this is where also like just kind of restrained, I suppose, helps, right? I think you probably don't want to one-shot something on turn 3 or somebody on turn 3 or turn 4. I mean, I assume that's not necessarily the plan of the deck anyway. No. But, if it's in the late game, get people out of there.
Well, the problem with it is that it requires some changes that is optimization that I haven't bothered with. So, for example, a Recruit of the Guard can't fetch it because Recruit of the Guard gets toughness, and it's a 1/3. So I actually need to play the red version of Recruit of the Guard, which is Imperial Recruiter, which fetches power, which I haven't. And if the deck was optimized, Imperial Recruiter should be in here as well, because then they fetch a lot of the same things, right? So even if it's like one guy's a problem, and I have to kill him, and Valet is the answer, my one shooter can't even get him. That's how suboptimal my deck is. My one tool to kill one person is not something I can shoot for. And I know how to fix it. It's a bit of effort. And I'm not even thinking about cutting the Valet anyway. Maybe the Valet needs to come out and we get... It's like ingenious... Someone can comment below. Ingenious Artillerist, the one when like, as you're making clues and food, you're pinging people.
Yeah. There's a couple of those synergy cards. I mean, I can think of a handful where like they would make sense in your deck.
Yeah,
but like as you said, it's just like...
funnier cards, I guess, but... Yeah.
And I mean, like, I wonder, is this something that you do? Because this is how I like to play. Like when I build decks, I have some decks that I keep around forever. That's the ones that you say like kind of in amber, although I do update them occasionally. But I'm constantly building new shit. Like I just put together this garbage. I'm going to play it tonight and I'm going to disassemble it again. Huh? I thought it was funny. It's Narset Jeskai Waymaster. I don't know if you know this card.
I opened it at pre-release. It's my pre-release, right?
Perfect. So it just says at the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, you draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. And usually you would do this with like Spellslinger stuff, right? Like you would play a bunch of instants and sorceries. I thought it was funny to just play a bunch of 1- and 2-drop creatures and flood the board and then smack people with them. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to play it once. I'm going to disassemble it. That's the plan, right? And, but like, what I like to do is like when I have these decks that are very temporary is like I will include certain plans. And then after I've played that plan, let me just replace that with something else. Like, it sounds like that's something you do. Is that something you experience where you like maybe have certain ideas in a deck? Like if you smack somebody with the valet 5 times and you're like, okay, cool, that guy did his thing. Time for a new card.
As I was explaining it, I was thinking how I should have been marking with the sharp marker like his kills on him.
Oh,
I don't know if
that's
you've heard this premise, because like there's an Ornithopter cube where people mark games 1 when the singular Ornithopter goes to the top and kills someone with equipment or whatever.
Yeah.
They mark the Ornithopters, and at 100, I think they get retired. They put a new one in. Anyway, I should probably start marking the valet. To be fair, I think I've maybe killed 2 people because it's like I've played like quite a few games of this deck, but the valet hardly ever gets chewed up. Right? But I should probably do it, and once I get to 5, maybe retire him. But also 5 people getting knocked out of the game early. I'm already like, oh, that doesn't sound good. Like, it's an interesting piece of tech, and it's different to everything else in the deck, but it still feels like kind of rough. But yes, to your point, absolutely. I'm a variety gamer mainly. That's why I probably own so many cards and play so many different games and stuff. That's why I'm so into board games right now, because they feel so different. So playing the same deck over and over is very hard for me to do. And like some decks that I've absolutely loved and fallen in love with, and people have come to associate me like Tapped Over, I just take them apart because they play too similarly. And you don't up with a lot of tutor game plans I'm not really into either. So yes, absolutely. I'll play a package if I've done once or twice with it. I may end up cutting it, tinkering it, changing it because I want to do something else with even that same deck, let alone something else. I'm a butterfly. I find it hard to focus on one thing at once anyway. So.
What a wonderful note to end on. You're a butterfly. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Sorry for taking a bit longer, but I guess we we did end up talking about the deck. I'm pretty happy we managed to do that.
We did. We got there.
We got there.
It's fine. I'm sure people will find the beginning a bit interesting, or they won't, and they'll comment and tell us.
That's fine. They can complain. I don't mind. It's ultimately we're just here to make content, and here it is. Have some content. Have the slop, I suppose.
Yeah. Gobble it up, piggies. Oink, oink.
I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. We'll definitely appreciate that. And don't forget to support me on Patreon. There's a link down in the description. I hope you don't mind that the start of this was a little bit off topic, but we did eventually get there. And that's ultimately what matters, isn't it? As always, let me know who you would like me to bring on next. Repeat appearances are maybe on the table as well, if that's something that you find particularly appealing. Anyways, I'll see you guys. Goodbye.